All right. Oh, I forgot to make that disappear, but oh well. Now you know what our first topic is.
Oops. Erps.
Oh well, screw it. I don't care. I'm more concerned with the fact the little red numbers are going up. My microphone's on. Your thing's on. We have music. We're good.
Woo! Woo! Everything's working.
I don't care
No
if they
more
see the
mute
first topic
shows.
early. I really don't care.
All right.
So, welcome everyone. It is the latest episode of Geekamole. I think it's episode 221. I just have stopped counting. I really do. It is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Everyone, say hello to your mothers.
Yes.
Hola.
Yes. Call, talk, text.
I was
do
actually
something.
speaking more to you two up there to say hi to your moms, but
I was
I
on
want to
the
show.
phone with my mom when you first tried to call me, so
I'm waiting until after the show to call mine. But then again, I said Happy Mother's Day to mine like 3 days ago. So
yeah, well.
it helps when your birthday's around Mother's Day and your mother calls you to tell you that, and you can say Happy Mother's Day to her at the same time. So
Yeah.
You're the laziest son in the world.
I am not. I at least contact her. Therefore, I am not lazy.
Well, I already spoke to her on Skype earlier this morning, so
Well, my mother sleeps in, so I don't call her until the afternoon. So there. All right. So here we are. Just as a heads up, Mouse will not be joining us for the next 2 weeks, so we'll figure out what we're going to do that way.
Maybe for
and then the
maybe.
third week after that, we're not probably not going to have a show unless we approve, and we don't have a chance. We might, well, yeah, because Cece and I are going to a wedding.
Yes.
Things. They're not marrying each other.
No, God no.
Oh, thank you.
No, God no.
Oh God no.
I'm
I
gonna
love
go
you,
drink.
Mouse.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a drink of a batch of triple sec after that.
Oh, he has to drink on the air now just
Yes.
because he got rejected.
Whoop, my bad.
We're not going to point out the fact that he's already married
Yeah, not that he's already married to a man.
to a man, and
By the
Cece
way-
has a devoted boyfriend. So.
I do.
Does
I
not count. Rejection still hurts.
Okay.
See?
Well, while Miles is getting booze,
You've driven me to drink.
Yes.
the more telling would be if she had driven me to drink.
Yeah.
On a long drive. No, I mean,
Okay.
It would be a long drive, but don't drink and drive because that's
would-
yeah, don't drink and drive.
bad.
Good.
So our first topic is up, so let's just jump into it. It's mine. What the hell?
Woo.
Just a heads up, Persona 5 has had a new trailer released. It's as intriguing as the first, so if you're into those, go watch it on YouTube after the show.
After
Always
the show.
After the show. But apparently, if you're a fan of Persona 5 and you're an avid fan, you just got trolled by Atlas. Apparently, Atlas had a Persona 5 teaser page up, and it was counting down to May 5th, and everyone pretty much expected there would be an announcement of the release date for Persona 5. And apparently, someone hit the button early.
Oops.
And the button that they hit early was to a joke, saying that the game would be released not only on July 8th, 2016, but that it would also have a PC port. It ain't true.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
It ain't true. There will be no PC port for Persona 5, just like there hasn't been for anything else.
Fuck you, Atlas.
Well, that's
Your
the
hearts.
thing. There was a big accusation that it was actually for publicity. The president of Atlas basically came back and said, "No, that was a lie, and I'm going to have to talk about some additional security for the website." But apparently, the real truth is that Persona 5 will be released September 15th in Japan, so expect it probably not long after, if not the same day for America. For PS3 and PS4, there will not be a PC port. Relax.
Yeah.
Atlas has also announced that there will be a Persona 5 anime. It looks like it will probably be just a single episode. It'll be called Persona 5, the animation, The Daybreakers. It will be a prologue, and it will hit Japanese TV in September, presumably right before the release of the game.
Cool.
So, just a heads up. Next up, CC.
All right. So, Battlefleet Gothic Armada has dropped, and it is gorgeous. It is wonderful. It is a fantastic game. I personally have not been playing it, but I have been watching my friends on Steam play it, and harassing them while they play it, which is honestly sometimes it's more fun for me to just watch and harass people. But it is gorgeous. It plays well. It's a lot of fun. It is wicked fun. I'm really happy because they haven't really done a whole lot with the Battlefleet Gothic franchise lately. For those of you not necessarily in the know, Battlefleet Gothic, Warhammer 40k, my big thing that I'm just always talking about and in love with. Battlefleet Gothic is that, but in space proper. So those are the spaceships that these armies travel on. And it's sweet. Anyway, Battlefleet Gothic Armada dropped. I know it's on PC. I got it. It's on Steam. It's fantastic. I don't know if it's on PlayStation or Xbox, but I'm pretty sure it's just PC.
I think it is just PC.
I think it's just PC. But it's fantastic. It's great. Yeah. And right after Battlefleet Gothic Armada dropped, Battlefleet Gothic Leviathan was announced. It's going to be a turn-based strategy game. Also Battlefleet Gothic, their stuff, but I think from what I understand, it's actually going to be on one's phone. It's an iOS game, which is interesting because they don't, I don't know, I've never played turn-based strategy on iOS. I'm sure it would work pretty well, but I don't know, my phone is small enough that the screen might be a little difficult. But anyway, it's going to be fun. I'm excited. There's a lot of people saying good things about it, but it's still a young enough project that we don't really know a lot about it. But it's exciting. And go buy Battlefleet Gothic Armada. It is totally worth it, and it's by a tiny, tiny little company, which has just done a fantastic job with it. So yeah, Battlefleet Gothic. Woo!
Mouse?
So, if you've ever dreamt of playing a game that looked like a Hayao Miyazaki movie, and you're not playing Ni no Kuni, thank you, honey. Ni no Kuni, there is a game, a gorgeous-looking game that is currently being kickstarted called Lynn and the Spirits of Inao. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the storyline goes, gods and spirits have always lived in harmony with humans on the island of Inao, but one day, for reasons unknown, spirits began attacking the island's inhabitants. They probably started listening to Katy Perry. The high priestess of the village, with the help of her disciple Lynn, attempted a mysterious ritual in order to send the lost souls back to the other world. However, of course, something went wrong, and the priestess is injured, and the ceremony is incomplete, which means that there is, the apprentice, young and clumsy Lynn, has to put the ritual back together and put the spirits back into their resting place. If you go to the Kickstarter page, it is absolutely gorgeous. It does look like it's a 2D platformer game. They call it platform adventure game, so there's more than just the action sequences going on. There's storytelling and cinematic moments. But it looks gorgeous, and it looks like you're basically just strolling through a Miyazaki movie. It's fucking gorgeous. Their launch platform is PC, and of course it'll be launched on Steam with the possibility of expanding to other platforms if the campaign goes well. They're asking for $60,774, and they're right now $25,617 with 24 days to go. I definitely recommend you go and throw your money at this project. It's beautiful.
It's really pretty.
Mouse likes the term throwing money.
I just like, here, make it rain.
To be fair, I would love it if people threw money at me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not complaining. Toss money my way. Just no coins, because that hurts.
I mean, if they're $2 coins, I might take it.
That would probably hurt even more.
You'll have a rain of gold if they throw Sacagawea coins at you.
Yeah, but at the same time, it would be a larger surface area.
So
unless it hits you from the side.
Ooh.
If they're tossing it chakram style, it's still gonna sting.
But look, if they throw enough, I will happily be covered with bruises for a ton of money.
Oh, okay.
Don't say that. CC, don't say that. This is the internet. There's people who get off on that.
Yeah, there are.
That's true. Anyway.
Next up, Atlas Reactor. Trion has announced that what was originally going to be a completely FTP game has now changed. The game will actually, going forward, be available for $29.99. The producer Peter Ju apparently announced that in order to make the game, in order to improve the game, they would basically have to go counter to what the desires coming out of the various playtesting sessions have been, if they wanted to maintain the free-to-play model. So they decided that in order to make the improvements that the community has been asking for, they had to go to a pay-for-play, a pay-to-buy, I guess, buy-to-play, whatever you want to call it, model. They did say, because the microtransactions were available during the various alpha and beta sessions, they basically said that anyone who did make transactions during that time, so anyone who's purchased at least $10 of in-game credits or bought the Founders Pack, will now own the full game, even if they paid less than the $29.99. Mm-hmm. So at least Trion is trying to make, good on some of the previous purchases.
Nice.
They did say that the various freelancers, who are basically the game's playable characters, will be available to anyone who owns the game free of any further cost. So originally there was going to be a purchase required for to unlock the various characters. That is no longer going to be the case. They did indicate that some of the cosmetic items will still be purchasable via microtransactions. However, a great many of them will be obtainable through gameplay. So they're basically slowly moving away. They're not completely eliminating the microtransactions, but they are moving away from that and basically making this a traditional purchasable game. So just a heads up for those of you who are interested in this and keeping an eye on it. Next up, CC. Nice.
So, new Imperial Knight Renegade. I love this whole thing. So, it's another Warhammer 40k thing, but you buy a box set and it gives you 2 Imperial Knights and these special rules, its own rule book, for playing just a knight-on-knight action battle. I am so excited. Nice. And it's a pretty good deal for the knights as well. It's $195 for 2 Imperial Knights, which is really not bad at all. It's super exciting, for me at least, because it means that I can go ahead. You could be like my friends and I. We can be like, oh, we're gonna buy a box of Renegade. We each pay half. We each get our own knight, and then we can play the game together. Isn't that awesome? You get to build it, paint it, however you like, all that stuff. I'm excited. I know for a fact that my boyfriend has 4 new Imperial Knights this week just because he got the game. I think it's technically 3, but whatever. He bought a pack and a half, but it's awesome. I'm excited, and I really like that it's a way of getting into the game. That you can buy. Okay, I buy this one thing, and you can actually play a little something instead of being like, well, I need to spend another $500 to be able to play with everyone else. Just nope, we can play Renegade immediately. Sweet. I'm excited.
All right, next up, Dishonored 2, The Darkness of Tibia. Apparently, there's been an announcement that the voice cast has been selected. They are continuing the tradition from Dishonored of having an all-star cast. With the exception of the 2 main protagonists. Corvo Atano, who was the original protagonist from Dishonored, will be back. This time he will actually speak. And his voice will be Stephen Russell, who is famous for having done Nick Valentine in Fallout 4 and Mercer Frey in Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Emily Caldwin, who is the female protagonist that you can play, was originally 10 years old in the original Dishonored. Since Dishonored 2 takes place 15 years later, she will be an adult and will also be voiced by Erica Luttrell, who also is from Fallout 4, but she is also the voice of Sapphire from Steven Universe. And another character who'll be returning is the Outsider, although he will not be voice acted by Billy Lush this time. He'll be voice acted by Robin Lord Taylor from Gotham and The Walking Dead. And some of the other voice actors that you can look forward to are actually famous actors, such as Sam Rockwell, Vincent D'Onofrio, Rosario Dawson, Pedro Pascal, and Jamie Hector. So keep your eyes open. I am just waiting with bated breath for this game because I love me my stealth games because I love to basically kill anything and everything that's in it. So
You play them wrong.
if they're all dead, you've never been seen.
You play it so wrong.
It is the ultimate stealth. Leave a sea of bodies behind you. No one knows you've been there. Next up, CC.
Overwatch. Okay, so this is Blizzard's newest game. It's kind of Team Fortress 2-y-ish. It's the same playstyle, but it's got all these series of new characters, a ton of new characters that you can choose from. The Plague style is awesome. It's gorgeous. It's a lot of fun. Right now they have open beta. I don't remember when exactly the open beta ends, but it is crazy fun. I have been playing it all weekend when I'm supposed to be getting projects done for my graduation in another week. But anyway, D for degree. And I get to play Overwatch more.
It is all over Twitch. All freaking over Twitch.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is crazy fun. It is crazy fun. I highly recommend it. Like, I can be teamed up against a bunch of people that are way better than me. They try not to do that, and they're generally pretty good about that. But even if I was teamed up against people who are way better than me, I would still have a lot of fun just dying repeatedly. I enjoy that game so much.
Hey, if you go into PvP expecting to die, then you can just enjoy it sometimes.
Yes.
Exactly. Like, I go in and I'm like, I'm probably going to die because I know I'm not very good, but it's so much fun.
It's the only way I can
So
PvP.
much fun. Yeah.
I suck. Anyways, moving on. I got a whole bunch of topics here, so I'm going to try and make them as quick and painless as possible because I don't have a lot to talk about. First up, Steam has changed the way their weighting of reviews occurs. The weighting is now going to be more focused on more recent reviews. So that means games, be forewarned, if for some reason you start off sucking and then become great, wonderful, because the people who start to pick up your game later and give it more positive reviews will start to outweigh the more negative reviews that started at the beginning. However, if something comes up during your development cycle and you start to accrue some disfavor, that could really work against you. So just be aware that this is a new change and it will affect the way that your ratings accrue. So heads up. Next up, YouTube. This topic and the next topic are actually kind of conjoined. YouTube has announced a new service that they're working on called Unplugged. This is supposed to begin bundling different cable networks and stream these directly from from YouTube's main site for people who are subscribing to the service. This is not the same as YouTube Red. Apparently, Alphabet, the parent company, executives at Alphabet, the parent company for YouTube, they've already begun talk with companies such as NBC Universal, Fox, CBS, and others about securing rights to various television series and sporting events. So they're looking at possibly developing this for, I believe, around 2017. There are other companies out there like Apple and Amazon who are rumored to be considering similar type deals or have considered them in the past. I'm going to go ahead to the Hulu, who is also doing something similar. They are working with Disney and 20th Century Fox to offer a subscription service to stream live broadcasts and cable television channels. It seems that the premise here is that companies such as this will be taking the original four, I say original, the original 3 plus Fox, I guess, taking the original non-cable broadcast channels, allowing them as a skinny bundle so that people can watch those, and then we'll add additional cable as standalone options. This is what I've wanted forever. Forever. I will pay for this. because I'm
Yep.
so sick of having so many ESPN channels on my television set that I wish I could burn them all to the ground.
Like I want sci-fi
Yeah, I want.
and maybe ABC Family.
And Disney.
If I could pare down, it's like my
Not
my cable through Comcast, or Xfinity, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, has probably 700,000 channels on it, of which I watch 20.
That's more than I do.
And
Yeah.
when I say I watch 20, I'll put several of them on just as I'm going to bed, just so that there's noise. But it has to be a certain channel. It has to, I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be like UFO conspiracies or something like that.
Well, I think this is going to be. I think this is a really good idea. For one thing, I'm in favor of anything that loses Comcast money because I hate them
I know so many people who do,
for good reason.
especially former employees.
Yes, because Comcast is almost as evil as. Oh, I shouldn't bring politics into this. Okay. Anyway.
But aside from that, Hulu has also announced that they are working with Live Nation. This is something that Mouse actually kind of tried to use to sell me on Second Life at one point. But I guess Hulu and Live Nation are looking at bringing VR to broadcast concerts and events like that. Now, obviously, virtual reality is a brand new industry, burgeoning industry. And considering how many virtual reality headsets have been released or are being released in the next, several months, it's obviously going to hit that point where it's going to hit universal acceptance. It's not like there's only one headset out there. There's so many. So it's obviously the way entertainment is kind of going. And they're using this as a opportunity to basically allow people who, for example, in the United States and can't travel to, say, Wembley Arena, to be present, backstage at, quote, the best seats in the house, virtually. So I think it's a very interesting idea, a very innovative way, I think, of expanding the appeal of virtual reality. I still won't put the damn thing on my head. But,
I'll
so
try.
what? I'd rather just watch it on TV, but I'm old, so deal with it. But
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm currently trying to figure out how to save up for a virtual reality headset. So
I mean,
Asher
I,
has tried. He was at a party.
I tried a dinky one on, and it was crazy. It was amazing.
He said it was amazing.
well, I mean, I'm sure it is. I mean, I
Yours
don't
was
want to
full
know
of
because
cantankerous.
it's like I said before. I don't even like headphones, earphones on my head. And I wear glasses, and while I don't necessarily need them to see normal things, I only need them for reading purposes. I don't. And, Cece, I hope that they're not migraine inducing. I really do.
Me too.
I know you want to try them, but I also know that you do tend towards migraines.
So we'll see.
So just a heads up, it's the way things are going, guys. Keep your eyes open, and I wish Hulu and YouTube luck.
Yeah.
Mouse print section.
So, I have a very interesting little article that was written by Liana Kersner, and for those of you who don't know, Liana Kersner is a cosplayer. She's also a writer. She writes about issues like social issues, feminism, etc. And she tackles a very interesting little controversy that, well, it's more like a brouhaha that has been going around for a while, and that is the art of Frank Cho. Frank Cho is an incredibly talented artist. I adore his line art. It's just this beautiful, smooth thing. But he landed in hot water among people who are easily outraged when he started parodying the Manara Spider-Woman covers. And if you remember, of course, it had Spider-Woman with her... it wasn't a very anatomically improbable pose with her butt up in the air, but
It wasn't anatomically improbable. It was anatomically impossible.
Yeah.
But yes, well, she's a spider, so maybe, but who knows?
Uh-huh.
In any case, so there was outrage over the Manara cover, and then Frank Cho started doing parody covers with several different characters. One of them, my favorite one, is Wonder Woman. She's doing the pose, and she's muttering to herself, "Please go viral, please go viral, please go viral." And Batman asks her, "What the hell are you doing?" And she says, "I'm trying to drum up enthusiasm for my comic." This is a dig, of course, on the fact that the sales for the comic plummeted when David Finch and Meredith Finch took over. But in any case, so Frank Cho has been tagged as a misogynist, especially since the quote-unquote creator of Spider-Girl, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, went kind of berserk when he drew a sexy picture of Gwen Stacy, and he went, "That's my child you're drawing. You're lucky I'm not in the same room as you are," and all sorts of crazy threats. And after that, Frank Cho basically started doing more pictures of Spider-Gwen, shouting, "Outraged! I am outraged," etc. So,
in fact, for those who can't see the picture I'm using here of She-Hulk, if I were actually to pan down near her elbow, is Spider-Gwen going, "Outrage!"
Outrage, yes. So he has been labeled as a misogynist by certain sections of the feminist subculture on the internet, and people are constantly rallying against him. And DC Comics has chosen him as the artist who will draw the alternate covers for the Wonder Woman comic for the next year. And people are up in arms about that, even though Frank Cho is actually a huge fan of Wonder Woman, and the covers that he has been drawing so far, at least the teasers, are very, very dignified. There's nothing of the hypersexualized thing about them. But in any case, a sole voice so far, at least as anyone who has identified themselves as a feminist, has come up. Liana Kirsner posted this article saying why Frank Cho's work is feminist. And she goes on to recount several anecdotes that she's had personally because she knows Frank Cho. Especially how he treats women with respect, especially when there's an anecdote where he's basically in a room full of naked women. And he said he was always very respectful to her. But the last three paragraphs that she writes, and they're very short, are actually something that I think is very provocative, thought-provoking at least. Because she's talking about how in comics and in all sorts, and movies, etc., you see naked men, and they're usually, men get naked, and it's usually a source of humor. There's, the awkward naked man suddenly being, he's backing out of a bedroom only to find out that he's now in the middle of a party and everybody's laughing and pointing at him, etc., or whatever. Typical, comic movie stuff. And she says, the thing that I like about her point of view is this. Frank Cho doesn't sacrifice a woman's beauty or sexuality for intelligence or the ability to take part in comedy, and I love him for that. And she points that up. She says that usually when a character is beautiful, a female character in comics, even written by those people who claim to be feminists, she is either the killjoy, and she's beautiful, but she lacks sense of humor. She's always very uptight, etc. And she says, Frank Cho doesn't do that. His parody covers are continuing his tradition in this regard, and people who claim they're misogynist are just flat out wrong. If anything, they're poking fun at how freaked out society gets over boobs. And then she says, try living with a gigantic pair. You realize how absurd it is the first time you get smacked in the face with your own breasts. And yes, this has happened to me more than once. And yes, she does have enormous boobs. But this is the cincher, and I want people to come and read this article. She says, feminism isn't about protecting women from the big bad world of putting us on an unnatural pedestal. Feminism is about equality between men and women. So essentially, if Deadpool is allowed to do it, some female characters should have license to do it too. Yeah. Men are allowed to be naked, loud, and obscene for the sake of comedy. Look at South Park, Family Guy, Seth Rogen. Frank Cho is one of the few creators out there who dares to let women be the star in that kind of comedy, instead of the disapproving wife, mother, or the object of sexual conquest. And I really like it. And she says that if the article does well enough, she'll tell the behind-the-scenes story of the picture that she posted in the article, where she is dressed as Miss Marvel, and Frank Cho is signing her butt. So go read the article. I want to hear that backstory.
All right. Next up, CC.
All right. My computer has freaked out, but if I remember correctly, I'm going to be talking about the limited edition Salamander books.
You are correct.
Perfect. Okay. So, limited edition Salamander books. So, the Salamanders trilogy, the Black Library is making these fancy limited edition with only 500 500 hardbacks. They may be sold out by now, but God, it is gorgeous. It is really, really pretty. I don't know. Do you have pictures of these books up there?
I have them sitting next to each other. I don't have the one that has them fanned out, but they are beautiful.
Oh, they are beautiful. And I'm a big fan of pretty books, so it is gorgeous. Like and they always do the Black Library always does really good, or I should say Black Library always does really, really, really good limited edition covers of things. And it's pretty. It's lovely.
It's the pretty.
Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty.
All right.
So pretty.
Next up, Mouse, DC Rebirth.
Okay, so we have a couple of things coming up. We've had a sneak peek of some of the art that is going into Rebirth, especially peeks from artist Ethan Van Sciver. Is that how you pronounce it? Sciver? S-C-I-V-E-R?
I couldn't tell you. Never
I don't
heard
know.
it said before.
He has, perhaps in a way, in an attempt to show the kind of vein that the Rebirth is going to take, he has shown some pictures of the Flash that he's been working on for one of the Green Lantern's Rebirth #1. Apparently Flash appears in there. And he posted on Twitter saying, "I miss when DC comic heroes looked friendly like this. Hell, I'm bringing it back." And then we also have an unveiling by several artists showing us what Supergirl, Green Lantern, and Superboy are going to look like in the new Rebirth universe.
Hate the new Superboy. Hate it. Hate it.
Oh, come on! What?
Sorry.
What do you hate?
I hate the design.
I love it. I think it's pretty fun.
I think if he's going to be paired up with Damian, as they're kind of implying, he just looks underdressed. I'm sorry.
He kind of looks like a little bit like a slacker. I like it, especially if he's going to be, he's going to have a laid back personality, and Damian Wayne is always anal retentive. I don't know. I think it works.
Yeah.
And
I'll read it, but right now I just hate it.
You're gonna love it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Supergirl, the design for Supergirl, it takes very, very much after the show. So the red diaper is gone, thank God, and the strange backwards boots are gone, and she kind of looks like a little bit like the classic Supergirl and CW, and the current Supergirl show. And was that it? Oh no! Oh yes.
2 topics for it.
We have 3 topics, yes, and of course, Geoff Johns basically made an impassioned pitch to defend Rebirth, trying to basically tell the public to have faith in them. He says that he understands that cynicism is very justified concerning he implied it, that DC's recent track record, but he says that Rebirth is just not a brand or a marketing tool, but let's face it, it is. But he says that it is about bringing back the intrinsic values of what DC comic books and its universe stand for. So, again, like we've discussed in the past, this is, the DC and Warner Brothers probably realizing that the thing that was missing the most from the New 52 was the sense of legacy and the sense of connection between the characters that have grown up among, decades. And this might be them trying to bring it back. I hope it is. I really liked that about the old universe, and I know that you want to streamline things, make it more familiar for new readers. But one of the things I remember, reading my first DC comics when I was a kid in the '80s. One of the things that I thought was pretty
In Ecuador.
In Ecuador, so they were in Spanish and poorly translated at that sometimes. One of the things that I liked was the fact that I was reading into this universe that seemed to had a lot of story behind it, and it didn't really bother me that I didn't know everything that had happened, just because it looked like the characters had lived, if you know what I mean. And when I picked up the New 52, I felt that was kind of missing. So who knows? We'll see what comes out of this.
Well, one of the things I think about it is the fact that I agree. When I pick up a comic and I'm looking at a character, if the character is interesting, I don't necessarily need to know their entire backstory right then and there. If I'm interested in enough, there's the freaking internet. I'll find their backstory.
Or you'll buy more comic books.
Or I'll buy more comics. And in fact, reading the backstory may make me want to buy more of their comics. So chill out. We don't need everybody reinvented every 10 freaking years.
Exactly.
All right, was your third one Alan Moore?
No, that one comes after. It is, but that one comes after you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
you're
Don't talk about him yet. Are we done with DC Rebirth?
We're done with DC Reverse.
All right, so moving on into topical but broadcast news. Batman the Killing Joke will be released digitally on July 23rd. The physical copy will be released on 8/2. I'm going to ask, DC, stop doing that. Do you have any idea how much of the Teen Titans one was released on YouTube? That's obnoxious. Stop it. While I say I am not one who can be spoiled because I still went out and bought it and watched the whole damn movie, I know Mouse was eagerly sending me videos from YouTube going, oh look, and I finally had to tell him, knock it off, I want to watch the movie in one sitting.
And just to let people know, I did buy the DVD. So.
I think you already showed that once.
I did? Okay.
You may have, I think. Anyways, but
I still haven't watched it because I haven't had the time to sit down and watch it. But I'm going to watch it actually when I am in Houston because I will not be working. So haha.
But DC, stop that. Release the video and the digital at the same time, for crying out loud. The deluxe edition, which is the physical copy, will have, I guess, an episode of the new Batman Adventures coming out, and it will have an episode from Batman the Animated Series, and they will get, you'll get your traditional featurette documentaries and whatever. And but aside from that, Mouse, you wanted to talk about Alan Moore's take on the.
Yes. Oh, I had a question though. Since you mentioned Batman the Animated Series, do you have a favorite episode from that series?
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and watch the series again.
Same.
All right, maybe that'll be a relaxed roundtable episode someday. Since The Killing Joke was remade, since it's already finished as an animated R-rated movie, Alan Moore has started commenting on the comics he wrote and how they have been revived, and it's very interesting. Because this will also tie into a later topic. He said that he said it was never intended as a blanket approval for all comic books. It was an experiment. It was an experiment that I was trying to do, and it worked better in some cases than it did in others. And here he's talking about his deconstruction of superheroes. The grim and gritty deconstruction. He said Marvelman and Watchmen. Those are pretty good books. On the other hand, where I was doing the same things in The Killing Joke, it was entirely inappropriate. And he says, this has nothing to do with Brian Boland's artwork, who was the artist in The Killing Joke, which was exquisite. I've never really liked my story in The Killing Joke. I think it put far too much melodramatic weight upon a character that was never designed to carry it. It was too nasty, it was too physically violent. There were some good things about it, but in terms of my writing, it's not one of my favorite pieces. If, as I said, God forbid, I was ever writing a character like Batman again, I'd probably be setting it squarely in the kind of Smiley Uncle period where Dick Sprang was drawing it, and where you had Ace the Bat Hound and Batmite and the Zebra Batman, when it was sillier, because then it was brimming with imagination and playful ideas. I don't think that the world needs many brooding, psychopathic Avengers. I don't know that we need any. And this is Alan Moore saying this, which just tickles me, considering that many regard him as the savior of comic books and basically the harbinger of the grim, gritty, dark, moody, broody Avenger era of comic books. And honestly, this is going to sound so bad, but I want Alan Moore to write Zebra Batman. I want to see that comic.
I think it'd be
Batman
fun.
to Zebra years.
So interesting take there from Alan Moore.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely
cool to hear.
not something I expected him to say at all.
It's really cool to hear people talk about the works that they've done after they've, done it. He's, with a little bit of space and time, a little distance from it afterwards. You can say, well, I liked this and I didn't like this, and I just think it's a good thing overall.
All right, next up, Bouse.
So, Supergirl is in trouble again. Unfortunately, although their CBS is interested in renewing the series, or at least showing some certain interest in renewing it. The $3 million per episode budget is just not going to justify itself concerning the ratings for the series. It debuted strong, but the ratings dropped by half at the end of the season. So people are saying that there are some sources that saying that they're considering moving Supergirl to CW in order to keep the show alive. So they're going to be moving it out of CBS. The announcement of whether or not it stays on CBS is due to come out in the next couple of weeks or so. I like the show. It's not. I wouldn't say it's as good a show as Jessica Jones, but I enjoy it, and I really really like this take on Supergirl. So I hope the show survives, even if they have to move it over to the CW.
Well, and even then, you talk about how we have too many grim, dark, gritty things. This version of Supergirl isn't super grim, dark, gritty.
Pretty much.
It's serious, but it's not like it's not Jessica Jones dark.
It's serious, but it's not serious business.
It's not Daredevil dark.
And they've had the advantage of already establishing a branch. I mean, Flash, admittedly being a cross-dimensional Flash, but so that means it's not in the same universe as the other CWs, but it's in the same omniverse.
Well, Flash and Arrow are in the same universe, and it's Supergirl who's in a different one.
Yes, well, that's what
I'm trying to make sure that we have that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway,
puzzle people.
All right.
It might be a good move. Maybe not.
And speaking of Arrow and Flash,
Arrow. So, as we know, Colton Haynes, who played, of course, Roy Harper on Arrow, has recently come out of the closet. He has admitted that he's gay, and he gave a brief interview explaining why he left Arrow. Part of it was, of course, the stress of coming out and having his sexuality revealed, and there were several paparazzi who kind of outed him before he was ready to make the outing, but he also suffered from anxiety. He says he's had terminal anxiety his entire life. That throughout the taping of the show, he felt he was physically ill, and that he was he felt like he was fainting. He's 27 years old and he has an ulcer, so he decided that he needed to step back and take care of his health. Even though he enjoyed working on the show, but it was a difficult admission for him to make at the time.
I wonder if this also ties into one of the reasons why he left Teen Wolf, because he was playing obviously a straight character there, but Teen Wolf also has
oodles of homoeroticism.
Well, not just homoeroticism. There are several homosexual males portrayed in the show, so I'm wondering if he perhaps felt some pressure from that.
Maybe.
Well, I think that's a really stressful thing, and everybody can. Well, I mean, if he doesn't really have a severe anxiety disorder, then absolutely taking some time back for his health is a good idea, and I think we should all respect that. Mm-hmm. And maybe give him some privacy. I mean, Jesus, that thing with the paparazzi is just awful.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's
awful.
And following his interview, which was I think it was last week, he went online and he thanked people for the supportive messages that he had been receiving. He said he was receiving supportive messages over social media day and night, and that he was gratefully overwhelmed.
Good.
And he commented on the issues that he faced as a gay actor, because he said people are so judgmental about those who are gay or different, and they don't realize that acting normal, quote normal, for 24 hours a day is the most exhausting thing in the world.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, it would be.
All right, next up. Power Rangers. For those who are waiting for the new movie to come out in 2017, the new armors have been released. These are gone as the spandex, and they are now describing this new armor as translucent extraterrestrial armor that crystallizes around their bodies. I guess the Yellow Ranger has basically said that she thinks it is the coolest armor ever, and she wants to wear it for the next 5 years for Halloween. They're saying that, obviously, the designer for the film, the production designer, Andrew Menzies, stated that it's tricky finding new language for a superhero costume. Ours is an alien costume that grows on them, that's not man-made. You can't win everyone over, but we are trying to appeal to a more mature audience and gain new fans.
So they have a fungus costume. Alien
fungus
fungus
would imply that it is,
It is not man-made.
but they said it's crystal.
Oh yeah, I guess it's crystal fungus then.
Crystal fungus. So yeah,
It's fungus.
basically, I think the black armor is freaking awesome, and I want that. Although I'd have to get into shape to wear it.
That's what we're working on.
We're working on it, but not specifically to wear armor.
Speak for yourself.
You want to wear armor?
Yeah,
Cosplay up with this bitch.
In any case, they look sweet.
They look sweet. And also for those who haven't seen Elizabeth Banks' Rita Repulsa, that picture's also circulating out on the net. So keep your heads up.
She looks pretty interesting.
She does. It's a new take, and
it's kind of like an alien poison ivy. I like it.
I'm kind of digging it too. So all right. So heads up. That's coming out March 24th, 2017. Next up, Mouse.
All right. So recently we've had a something surfacing. In 2008, Zack Snyder, as you know, who was the director for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, he gave an interview for Weekly Entertainment to promote Watchmen the movie, and he was talking about because of the let's say the tricky publicity that came after Batman v Superman, people have kind of exhumed that article, and they found two very interesting paragraphs on it. He's in this interview, he says, "You could call it highbrow comics, but to me that comic book was just pretty sexy. I had a buddy who tried getting me into normal comic books, but I was like, no, one is having sex or killing each other. This isn't really doing it for me. I was a little broken in that way. So when Watchmen came along, this is more my scene." And jumping on, he said, "Everybody wants to talk about Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. Batman's dark." I'm like, okay, no, Batman's cool. He gets onto a Tibetan monastery and he's trained by ninjas, okay? I want to do that, but he doesn't, like, get raped in prison. That could happen in my movie. If you want to talk about dark, that's how I would go.
Something psychologically wrong with Zack Snyder.
What was that, dear?
Why is Batman in prison?
Asher just asked, why is Batman in prison?
Why is Batman in prison being raped?
So we have a bit of a legend coming back and reacting to this. Gary Conway, who was the writer of The Death of Gwen Stacy, one of the iconic moments in comics and in the history of Spider-Man. He was also the co-creator for The Punisher, Firestorm, Steel Vixen, Jason Todd, and Captain Carrot. And I just have to say, I love Captain Carrot. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. But he posted a link to the interview on Twitter and simply said, "Fuck you, Zack Snyder." Which just goes to show you how much kind of like the old guard of comic book writers feels about Snyder's approach to superheroes. And this is actually something that is kind of far-reaching after we've seen the reviews of Batman v Superman. And this leads me to my updated topic on this. Zack Snyder is going to get a little bit of direction, so to speak. Ben Affleck has now been named the executive producer on the Justice League.
Producer, not the, Anne.
Yeah, Anne. On Justice League. Allegedly, so he can keep tabs on Snyder and make suggestions and corrections where needed concerning the approach of the movie. This comes after Dawn of Justice came to the end of its box office run. People were very optimistic that it would break the $1 billion, which is what Warner Brothers expected of the movie, but it ended up just grossing $864 million worldwide, and it sounds like a good number, but the studio was expecting a lot more of that. And the fan reaction and the reaction all across the internet does point that the Batman getting raped in a prison atmosphere of the movie might have something to do with it. And by that I mean...
don't think it was that dark.
No, it wasn't.
Just gonna bring it up there. I don't think the movie was that dark.
Well, Zack Snyder did admit that there were some cuts that were made to the movie, some that he even considered that they were too dark to be released, including one scene where basically Superman tries to find his mother and keeps hearing all of the screams of crime happening all across the city and getting shell shocked from it, which it was a very, very disturbing scene even by Zack Snyder standards. So
There was, as I understand, there was more left on the cutting room floor than there was put in the freaking movie.
yes, and we might be able to see some of that when the 3 hour release of the movie comes out. I think it has already been announced. I haven't been keeping up on it because I honestly don't care to buy it, but I do believe that it has been announced for the next couple of months.
Okay.
So moving on.
There we have our first look at a series of unfortunate events. I realize this news is a little bit on the older side, but I have been quite ill and unable to participate in the broadcasts. But I wanted to bring this up.
I gave her my plague.
It's so good. I'm excited. I'm actually not a huge fan of the series of unfortunate events, but this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think they're turning it into a TV show. Neil Patrick Harris is fantastic.
Uncle Olaf.
And he looks like he's a really good Olaf, and I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm going to become a huge fan, but visually, the pictures that they have seem to have captured the atmosphere of the series of unfortunate events pretty well. I said I'm not a fan. I've read some of the books, but I wasn't like super into it. But it seems to capture it pretty well, so I'm excited. I think this is going to be really good.
Right.
All right. Next up, we're going to do a brief roundtable topic on this.
Very brief.
For those of you who don't know about the situation that occurred, I believe it was last week, there was a Twitch broadcaster named, I believe, JoeDaddy505, who was apparently doing a broadcast on Twitch, and at one point allegedly left the channel, although didn't exactly turn it off, and was recorded as presumably beating the female in the room, presumably his wife and or girlfriend. That particular audio of that particular incident was grabbed and placed up on YouTube. Keemstar, who is the broadcaster on YouTube for Drama Alert, who himself is no stranger to controversy. I believe he himself has been accused of racism, fabricating news, and pedophilia. Oh no, sorry, he's falsely accused people of pedophilia. Sorry, but apparently he brought this particular topic to light, and it has gotten a significant amount of play there and on Reddit's r/gaming section. Basically, we don't know exactly what happened. No, there was no camera on this particular incident, but there have been people who have been on the internet claiming that they are going to enact some sort of justice against JoeDaddy505. His account has been allegedly suspended from Twitch. Other accounts on Twitter and otherwise, I believe, have been scrubbed, and he has made comments that have been captured by others and posted in other locations, such as a response that he posted the following day saying he did what he had to do after his partner hit him first and called him a bitch. There have been allegedly other screenshots taken from his Instagram that have been deleted, stating that, quote, I did not rape her, but adding, quote, I hit her and fell on top of her and hit her again, and I know I shouldn't have done that. It's a fucked up move, and I'm sorry. But the topic I wanted to kind of go into is not rape is good. Rape is bad. Beating women is bad. I don't care. Men, I'm going to say this, be men. If a woman hits you, there are better ways to take care of it than hitting her back. There are mature ways of dealing with conflict.
That's not to say don't defend yourself, but there comes a point where when you knock her over and she's already down,
don't jump on top of her and punch her back.
And continue to beat her.
Now, there are questions of whether obviously this was just a publicity stunt, because this is the internet, home of publicity and trolls, and so there's that level of question, and then there's the next level of question of when does this become vigilante justice? People on Reddit, you are not the internet cops.
Mm-hmm.
Calm the fuck down. They go out there. There are threats to dox this particular person. There are threats of physical harm against this person. It's not your place. It is the place of Twitch to, when there is a viable and confirmable threat, to take it to the appropriate authorities to then investigate.
Right. But if you're watching, if you believe that you are witness to a potential crime, you contact the authorities.
Call the fucking police.
You call the fucking police. You don't go and posture on social media going, "Oh, if I have 5 minutes in a room alone with it." No, you idiot. You call the police. And if you don't know who this person is and you don't know where he's streaming from, the people from Twitch do. They have his account information. You contact Twitch and you contact the authorities and you let them meet.
Yep.
Now,
And if you grab the audio, send the audio to the police.
Because that's evidence.
Because that's evidence. You don't need to release it to YouTube. You send it to the police.
Now,
or even to Twitch.
Now, at the same time, the reason I say this is because I know of a very good Twitch broadcaster that I enjoy watching, who actually was, I forget what the exact term is, but he had somebody who was a troll call, I believe, the FBI on his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so his family was actually in the middle of the night pulled out of their house. And I don't remember all the exact details, but there have been streamers who are on the air just legitimately doing their thing, defending their channel, if trolls come in, who have the cops called on them in the middle of the broadcast. Mm-hmm. And basically, the person calls the police and tells the police that this person is engaging in activities that are of immediate threat.
Swatting.
There is a point where the trolls need to be punished. Quite honestly, I mean, I myself have been the subject of an attempted doxing. I say attempted in that they got it wrong, but I saw it. I watch you, Reddit. I watch you. I know exactly where it came from.
There are. It is actually illegal to falsely call the police, and whoever is making phone calls like this absolutely should be punished.
The problem is that they're calling it anonymously.
Yes, which is a problem. But anyway, the vigilante justice, not okay. This guy is obviously not a good guy, especially if he's gonna beat his wife and then apologize to the internet like, "Oh well, I know I shouldn't have beaten her." Like, that's clearly not your like, "I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I got caught." No.
I'm sorry I got caught up in what I did.
I mean, that's why I said this is a huge discussion.
Okay,
obviously we
can't...
What was that, Asher?
It wasn't Asher. It was a stupid pop-up window.
Oh.
one of the websites that I had looked for my notes, and it was a pop-up window.
Sometimes I just think, I figure Asher should just pop in his, sign up right next to you and start talking sometimes.
Oh, I don't want to be on the show.
Oh, he doesn't want to be on the show.
Oh, he doesn't want to be on the show.
Rejection of the day.
Mm-hmm.
He volunteers but doesn't want to be in the show. We love you, Asher.
No, be to the side of the show. I can be to the side of the show.
He's the adult voice in Peanuts.
I see. He's our peanut gallery.
Yeah.
The show is fine.
So in any case, I think we're all agreed here. Vigilante justice, not okay. You see something like this, you should absolutely record the audio, record the video, and send it to the police.
Yeah, be a responsible witness, but you do not need to be the internet Batman.
Yeah.
Or the internet Superman, or you don't even need to be the internet Wonder Woman. Mouse is the internet Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Well, actually...
Are you going to pull up your internet Wonder Woman? Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, nice. Nice.
All right, so
Actually,
like I said,
I was at a concert yesterday. It was a classical musical concert, and in the intermission, I was talking to Asher over the phone, and I could see people giving me weird looks because of the case, and I thought, oh god, this is amazing.
Anyways, so just throwing it out there, like I said, it's not a very deep and involved roundtable. I mean, obviously, we're all kind of on the same page with this, but it is a controversy. It is something that's just recently come out, and you know, especially with people like Keemstar, you know, I hate to, you know, I don't want to pick on him for it, but you're not blameless, Keemstar, and when you're not blameless, you really shouldn't necessarily be the one disclosing things like this. I mean, you kind of want to be above and beyond reproach, or you know, or at least above reproach, not necessarily.
Or at least not be a dick.
But there we go, guys. That's pretty much what we got for the day. So again, happy Mother's Day. We will figure out what we're going to do with next week's episode,
and the week after that,
and the week after that, and the week after that, and sometime in June I'll be at YouTube, not YouTube.
You'll be in YouTube,
but I will be at the YouTube convention.
Maybe you can do a live broadcast from there.
Yeah, that will be
have enough bandwidth.
That will be a remarkable attempt. Considering the show ends on Saturday, and I will probably be trying to get into my damn car. Or on the plane, or whatever the hell I do to get down there. Oh my god, yeah. I don't want to drive down there. Oh. That's a 17-hour drive. Ew.
Gross.
I gotta either do that or fly.
You need to find a driving partner.
Yeah.
That would require somebody going to the convention with me. Hint.
I'd love that, but I'm Poe.
Yeah,
I'm too, and I will have spent all of my paid time off in Houston.
Yes,
so I cannot join you.
And CC, I would invite you. Unfortunately, I only have one room, and I don't think that would be appropriate.
Nope, probably not.
This is why I tend to invite Mouse when I say let's go, but Mouse doesn't have the time available.
And that's fair. That's totally fair.
So there we go, guys. We just
before we go, I know that Cece has watched it. Have you seen Civil War yet, Drew?
No, I'll watch it tomorrow when I have the day off.
We can talk about it next week.
Yes, we'll talk about it next week. Quick, out of 10, how much would you give it?
I haven't thought about that.
Would you give it more than you gave BBS?
Yes.
There we go.
So... But anyway, if you want to hear my actual feelings about it, you have to wait till next week.
Where I will not be here, so I will...
She can tell you after I hang up.
Although, actually, I might. I actually arrive at...
Well, we'll work out the details later, and we'll let people know.
We don't need to hash this out. Hear our scheduling.
Yeah, we don't need to hash this out on air. Okay, so, well, I guess we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in.
Peace out.